have some really terrible news for the media, particularly mainstream media here. Look at these numbers. Primetime cable news weekday change in total audience. Look at these numbers. Don Lemon is down 32.5% in viewership, and he wasn't doing too well to begin with in viewership, relatively speaking, compared to the other shows and the other networks. Anderson Cooper down 32.2%, Cuomo Primetime down 28.5%, All In with Chris Hayes down 16.7%, The Ingram Angle down 9.2%, The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell down 17.6%, Hannity down 11.9%, Tucker Carlson is faring better than any of the others, he's only down 4.8%, and Rachel Maddow is down 9.1%. So basically, cable news is kind of imploding in the Biden era. That's what's happening. It's imploding in the Biden era. Why? Well, we could speculate all day about this, but the relatively obvious answer is that Trump's gone, and we no longer have the 24/7 reality show. We no longer have the cheap sugar high of the fake scandals happening under Trump. And I say fake scandals, not to say that there aren't real scandals. Of course there were real scandals under Trump, but the media always seemed to focus on the silliest angle of the silliest scandals with Trump. They'd get mad over a tweet or some word he used. It wouldn't be policy-based. If it was policy-based, you would have had 2 weeks of outrage over that shitty tax cut for the rich bill he did, and there wasn't outrage over that. So that's what I mean by that. So they're imploding. And funny enough, even though CNN and MSNBC, they hate Trump with a burning passion, he actually did provide them with an influx of viewers and an influx of ad money, too. Ad money is down about 25% as well across the board. It varies from show to show and network to network, but ad revenue is down about 25%. So everybody is struggling in this post-Trump era, and it does seem to be the case that, we had gotten used to a certain level of scandal and endless coverage and reality show effect in our politics. And I just hope that people, the real solution here, the real answer, the best case scenario would be you still have incredibly high engagement, incredibly high viewership, although mainstream media sucks. They don't deserve anybody watching them. But you still have people being very involved in politics while also having, substantive leaders who are policy-oriented. Unfortunately, I'm wishing for a unicorn as a pet when I say these things, because it's not going to happen, right? But that would be ideal, where people are politically involved, really well-versed in this stuff, really educated about this stuff, but also we have leaders who are substantive and policy-oriented and doing the right things. Not going to happen, but a boy can dream. But listen, as much as I want to solely dunk on mainstream media in this conversation, can't lie to you guys, man, new media is exactly like this. Almost everybody's numbers are down. Even people who aren't down that much are down a little bit. Like you see Tucker Carlson's down about 5%. In new media, it's the same thing. The ones who are weathering the storm the most are down about 5%. Others are down way more than that. We're really, I was already in a position where I was on some shitty algorithm, sort of deranked and below levels of corporate media outlets and official outlets. So I already was in a bind where they limit how many new subscribers we can get to the show. I'm not going to lie to you guys, this past month has been maybe the worst ever for Secular Talk. We gained less than 1,000 subscribers, which is just horrendous. I mean, there was a time when, in the 2016 election, when we weren't deranked and on a shitty algorithm, where we'd gain 40,000 subs a month. So content's the same. I'm exactly the same, but they are sort of holding us back in a way. So new media is suffering this in the same way that old media is suffering this, traditional media is suffering this. But listen, at the end of the day, the burden really is and should be on us. Hey, find a way to be educational and informational and substantive while also being entertaining. That's the name of the game. And if you do that effectively, you can weather the storm to a certain extent. Listen, don't get it twisted. Some of the downturn is inevitable. It's just going to happen. More people are going to be interested in politics during an election than right after an election. That's just the way the world works. I mean, it is what it is. It's like saying people are more interested in sports during the playoffs than during the offseason. Well, no shit. Of course they're going to be. So it's going to happen to some extent, but, it's on you to weather that storm as good as you possibly can. And listen, the fact of the matter is, I view these audiences as fake anyway for mainstream media. Because really, where is CNN on? Where is MSNBC on? It's on at like barbershops and airports and your grandma's house as she's making lunch and nobody's even watching it or paying attention to it. These people don't have like real hardcore fans. They don't. They're just like, they just exist to fill the void and the emptiness of nothingness. Like, that's why they're there. Nobody's really, I really want to know what Don Lemon has to say about, fuck out of here. It doesn't happen. So really, I view their audiences as fake anyway. So in a way, I think they're getting what they deserve. They're artificially propped up. I've always made this point about Wolf Blitzer, not to pick only on Wolf Blitzer, although it's funny to do that. If you give him the same deal that every YouTuber got, every news and politics independent YouTuber got, which is, okay, we're going to start you from scratch. And go ahead, go make an audience. You have no money, no advertising budget, no nothing. Start from scratch. Go get people interested in what you have to say. He would never make it. Wolf Blitzer would never crack 1,000 subscribers because nobody would be interested in what the fuck he has to say. Not educational, not informational, not substantive, and also not interesting. Why would anybody watch you? Watching your show is like watching paint dry. Does anybody want to watch paint dry? I don't think so. So they're artificially propped up in a way. They're artificially propped up. And the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, I think the propagandists on Fox News are better propagandists, but they also happen to be insanely wrong about everything. So anyway, really rough time for the media. Also, trust in media is the lowest that it's ever been. And I think that makes sense. I think that's correct. I think the people are right to react like that. Matt Taibbi's book, Hate Inc. on the media is brilliant. His argument is we've always needed an enemy to keep eyeballs on the screen and to keep the ad dollars flowing. And there was a time back in the day when it was the Soviet Union, then it became Islamic terrorism during the war on terror and fear-mongering about Al-Qaeda. And now they've made you turn on your fellow American. Democrats have turned on Republicans. Republicans have turned on Democrats. It's hyper-partisan. It's hyper-vitriolic. But the fact of the matter is that shouldn't be the case. The media should be informational, educational, substantive, should be focused on policy, should be focused on the issues, and to the extent that there's any narrative, which really there shouldn't be much of a narrative at all, because it should just be data and facts and information and educated opinions. But to the extent there is, the point should be the corrupt and the elite and the donor class, the special interests, have bought the government and they've rigged the rules in their favor and against the 99%. That's to the extent that there's any narrative, that's the narrative that makes sense. And you don't see that almost anywhere. So, forgive me as I play the world's smallest violin for these losers who should have never had eyeballs on them in the first place.